you sort of dig into what fans who have watched him have said, and as you can imagine, you've seen everything. I've seen everything from Shrewsbury fans saying he was utterly dreadful, to some of the Shrewsbury fans saying he was a good young player, and Ross County fans who I think he was most recently at saying they'd like to have kept him. So look, I've got no problem with signing a young lad, 22, all his learning and development in front of him. He's got players to sort of learn off there. And, he's brought Lowe in. It will be a great sounding board for him. And it seems like he's the type of profile where he's genuinely just a ball winner. He's going to win you the ball back. He's got good height. He's good athleticism, which Crosby has mentioned he's been looking to build on and improve right across the squad. So there's clearly a plan there for him. And again, I would much rather be sort of taking a chance on a lad like this, who's, like you've just said, Matt's clocked up a good number of games and is a young lad, than someone, coming towards the end of the career and we sort of know what we're going to get. Because, surely, he's only going to get better with game time. It's not going to, it's not the most exciting sign in the world. Again, it's not going to, we're not going to think, oh, that's fantastic or anything like that. But he's got a home now and he's been on loans. And sometimes these young lads, we've just been talking about loans there. Some lads don't settle. Some lads thrive off it. He's got a home now where he can, put down roots for 2 years. And I think, it seems a decent signing on paper without knowing too much about him. It seems like he's just going to, get you the ball back and give it to your ball players, to give it to your likes of your Patrick and your Whittakers. So, and what I will say is Crosby's clearly recruiting to a plan, which is refreshing and reassuring after years of seemingly just signing players for the sake of it. So I think that's also, you've got to also take that into consideration as well. So, no, good luck to him. It'd be interesting to see how he gets on. But yeah, I don't mind signing that profile player at all.
You may have seen him play against Tranmere before, Paul, because if anyone's done any digging, they'll have seen that he played the full 90 minutes for Leeds under-21s when they were given a 4-1 drubbing by Tranmere back in September 2021. Hats off once again to anyone who can name the Tranmere starting lineup for that day. Nicky Maynard got 2 and Sam Foley got 2. Ross Doohan starting goal. The back four appears to have been Leo Connor, Nat Knight, Percival, Peter Clark and Callum MacDonald, with a midfield 3 of Chris Merry, Sam Foley and Mark Duffy, and then Powell Glatzel, Nicky Maynard and Stephen Walker, up front. Off the bench, Maguire, who that must have been about his only appearance for Tranmere, Hawks and Manny Diawere. So, yeah, good job if you can name those 14 who played for Tranmere in that game. Quite how they burgled a 4-1 win, I'm not entirely sure. What interests me about this is a few years ago, Tranmere tried this kind of signing. It was very high profile that they were going for this. We are going to be a development model club. We're going to bring in these young players and we're going to make them better. The difference is back then they were signing players with no sort of Football League pedigree or game time pedigree. Hockenhull, I don't think, had kicked the ball in anger, for example. Ethan Bristow had maybe 6 first-team appearances behind him. Rhys Hughes hadn't really played at all, and the other one would have been... I'm trying to think who the fourth one they signed that summer was. Josh Cogley certainly came in as well, didn't he? But Cogley had a full season behind him at Crawley, and I think he'd come in a year before as well. But Kenneh and Whittaker's played for Notts County for half a season, and Kenneh has played for several clubs over several seasons. So these are still young players with, we hope, a very high ceiling beyond League Two, but they've already started their professional career in terms of playing time. So they're further down the road than the likes of Hockenhull and Rhys Hughes, who, like it or not, whether or not you feel they should have had a bigger impact on the Tranmere side, they didn't really have any.
No, and I could have got behind the development model if we really bought into it properly, which we clearly didn't. You get the feeling the likes of Hockenhull, was he really scouted extensively, or was he just brought in because he was a young player who played for Brentford B or whatever he did at the time? But it worked to a degree. We got a fee for Bristow, right? We lost Cogley on a free, but he was very, very good in the 2 years he was here. But like you've just said, Matt, the thing that excites me about Whittaker is he's highly rated, at Everton. He's had half a year now in men's football where mixed results if you ask Notts County fans, but you'd like to think he's got sort of those teething problems out the way now. It's a big jump, as I said, from the under-21s environment where it's very much keep ball and the result doesn't always matter as long as the performance is what the club wants in terms of their philosophy of playing. Whereas in men's football, you're dying for 3 points every week. He's taken his kicks for 6 months at Notts County and he comes here again, 2-year deal, put down roots. So, I like that. I like the fact we're doing that, to be honest. And I think Crosby's nailed it when he said, getting the mixture of youth and experience right. You don't want to always go one way. I worry sometimes that we are a bit too old. As a squad, it's fine to have experience, but I think you need that youthful, exuberance almost. So yeah, if that's if there's more of that to come, then that's fine by me because we have got the experience there. We've, Bruff's experience, Turnbull's experience, Smith's experience. We've got a lot of experience in the back line. Bristow, although still relatively young, has played a lot of games when he's not been injured. And obviously we've got Christian Dennis up top who if we do bring a young striker in again, will be someone he can learn from in training and take advice from. So if we can get a couple more youngsters over the line, I'm thinking in the forward areas, or even if they're, in the sort of 25 to 28 range in the prime, or maybe just a bit younger, then that's fine by me. I don't think we're going to be putting any sort of long-term recruitment plans in place at the moment, given the current uncertainty around ownership. And that, if we do that and the new owners take over and it completely changes again. But yeah, I like us doing that because I think, as you've just said, if you're just signing players who are coming here because it's local and because they sort of 33, 34, there's a very low ceiling. But to me, the ceilings of Whittaker and Jana are pretty high because we're going to get good years of development out of them, and fingers crossed we can get a fee because that's something we need to get back to as well. Is how many sellable assets have Tranmere currently got? Not many, and there's not been many for too long. So yeah, I think good luck to them both. I think we're getting them at a good age, and you'd like to think with Crosby's coaching now compared to what we've just had, that will only kick them on even further as well.